Welcome to Night City. Night City is a modern urban environment, complete with dark streets, filthy alleys, and rowdy clubs. Where is it located? What's its real name? Not important. Night City is any big city in the world. It could be yours, late night and up against the wall. The important thing about Night City is the feel, not the substance. It should be a place that the referee has an immediate grasp of, allowing him to give his descriptions of the proper "you are there" ambience. Night City plays best when you use a city that players are somewhat familiar with. The recognition of street names and places juxtaposed with booster gangs and hovering assault vehicles will make the 21st century even stranger than fiction. But we realize some of you don't live in a major urban area. For those of you who can't just use a map of your hometown, here's our own Night City to begin your adventures with. Section 15, Night City. Night City, the overview. Name, Night City. Founded, 1994. Population, 5 million. Businesses, technical, light industry, trade, electronics. Background. Night City is a moderately sized city located on the west coast of the United States. It has a population of about 5 million in the greater Night City area, with the majority living in sprawling suburbs to the southwest. The city itself lies on a large bay, surrounded by several small sub-cities and suburban communities: Westbrook, Haywood, Pacifica, South Night City. Years of pollution, neglect, and one of the most corrupt governments in the world have reduced most of these cities to clustered, semi-deserted sprawls with burned-out homes, empty shopping malls, and rampant street crime. History. Night City was founded rather recently as cities go. Before 1994, the city was merely a clutter of unincorporated suburban sprawl between San Francisco and Los Angeles. During the collapse, an enterprising land developer named Richard Knight bought up the majority of what was later to become the corporate center and city center areas. He proposed to start a new, safe, clean corporate city, free of crime and urban blight. By offering lucrative tax packages to several major corporations, Petrochem, for example, had established drilling rights off the coast. He was able to establish a strong economic base as well as an instant population of corporate employees. As planned, Night City was a clean, open community with rapid transit and safe streets. Unfortunately, Knight's plan went awry. In using his own advanced building techniques and materials, he excluded a number of established unions and construction firms, many of these controlled by organization crime syndicates. 4 years after initial construction, the powerful gang bosses murdered Knight and took over the Night City project. Between selling contracts to their cronies, setting up drug and extortion rackets, and generally inviting the scum of the collapse into the area, the gangs managed to turn a relatively clean modern city into an embattled war zone. Crime, drugs, prostitution, random violence, and cybernetic terrorism soon became the rule of law. By 2005, the name Night City had taken on a grim and deadly new meaning: the corporate takeover. By 2009, the Corps decided they'd had enough. In lightning strikes, covert solo squads eliminated most of the gang leaders and established a corporation-controlled city council. The newly elected council, faced with chaos in the city, deputized corporate security forces and allowed them full authority within the city limits. The corporate and city centers were cleaned out and restored to their pristine state. The old Harbor Mall, originally built in the 1980s, was demolished and the new Harbor Mall constructed. The present. Night City today is a rapidly growing urban region, still rife with urban violence and street crime, but with strong economic growth in the corporate sector. It is the quintessential city of the cyberpunk future, gritty, dangerous, but possessing an urban slick and stylish cool that makes it unique. As Bess Isis, Net54 newscaster and one of Night City's most well-known public figures puts it, nobody ever leaves Night City except in a body bag. Particulars. Political. The Night City mayor's office owes everything to the corporations, and accordingly, the corps can do anything they want in Night City. The current mayor of Night City is Mbole Ibunaiki, a well-trained corporate puppet recently elected for his second term in 2020. Public services. Hospitals. There are 2 public hospitals, City Medical Center, Crisis Medical Center, in the central Night City area, as well as another 7 in the greater Night City area. There are at least 4 private medical centers in the city as well, mostly catering to cyberware installation, body banking, and biosculpture work. Information. City information is provided for a nominal fee, 1 eddy a minute, via data term. Data terms are located on the corners of most 60% city streets and can be used to access information, computer services, fax mail, and net input. Law enforcement. Although much of Night City has been brought under corporate control, these areas are known as the corporate zone and are heavily patrolled by hired security. Pockets of urban blight still infest the marina, harbor, and lake park districts. Crime in these controlled zones is kept in check by brutal security sweeps and constant surveillance. The South City is still a seedy ruin of cheap, tract housing, spreading into an area so blighted it is known as the Combat Zone. City Police Services. Police in Night City are scattered, poorly equipped, and badly managed. Cops can often be bribed or convinced that they just don't want to get involved. The most incorruptible people on the force are in C-SWAT, the Cyber Psycho Squad. Determined and dangerous, these mavericks and loners are just too crazy to care about being on the take. Transportation. Public transportation. The Night City Transit Corporation, NCTC, provides for bus service on most major city thoroughfares. Light lev rail transport is provided by NCART, Night City Area Rapid Transit, a public corporation with some private, read corporate, funding. Night City Metro, the local airport handling both domestic and international flights. Night City is on the hourly San Francisco to LA commuter run, as well as daily flights to New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and Washington. Suborbital flights are available by taking the LA commuter flight, then transferring via orbital air maglev train to the Mojave Spaceport. Freeways. Night City is on State Highway 828, which runs east to connect to I-5. Ground transit to San Francisco is about 4 hours, due to the road gang activity and bad roads. To LA, about 6 hours. For more about Night City, check out RTG's Night City Supplement CP3501, available at your local hobby store. Not really. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, fully automatic weapons with grenade launchers. We got it all. This is a modern city. Ripperjack. Places of interest. Following are some of the major attractions and possibilities of Night City. 1. City Hall. 2. City Library. 3. City Museum. 4. Hall of Justice. 5. Marcini's, a large expensive department store where you can find almost any luxury item. 6. Raven Microsib. 7. Microtech. 8. Arasaka Tower. 9. Euro Business Machines. 10. Petrochem. 11. Network 54 offices. 12. Plaza Business Tower. 96 stories of assorted businesses. 13. West City Tower. 88 stories of assorted businesses. 14. Infocomp. 15. WNS offices. 16. Orbital Air offices. 17. Merrill, Asukaga, and Finch. 18. The Twilight Zone. There is no 18. 19. First Night City Bank. 20. Euro World Bank. 21. Grand Mills, large expensive department store. 22. Totentans. When the owner of this bar named his bar Death Dance, he didn't know how right he would be. A dance hall / bar housed on the top floor of an old skyscraper. This bar is well known for a place to find booster gangs. They all seem to congregate here, but they don't come to dance for the pleasure of it. It's considered a bad night if the body count is under 20. 23. WorldSat Communications. 24. Hotel Hamilton, a fairly modern hotel known for its excellent security. 25. High Court Plaza Hotel, a very classy hotel featuring glass elevators, excellent service, and a 1920s decor. 26. Trauma Team offices. 27. Industrial Park. 28. City Medical Center. 29. REO Meat Wagon Revival Medic Team offices. 30. Atlantis, a classic fern bar known as a hangout for corporate and solos looking for jobs. 31. Jesse James Non-Kosher Deli. While this may sound like an ideal place to eat, no food is ever served here. The deli is a bar that was constructed in an old police station. Due to several unforeseen accidents, you must register your personal weapons at the door and use the safe ones that are provided for you at the bar. There is a nightly contest to see who can get the highest body count in 5 minutes. 32. The Outer Limits Club. 33. Rainbow Nights. Rainbow Nights is more of a dance club than a bar. Its main attraction is a big dance floor that is almost always crowded. Every night there is a live band, usually a bunch of no-names. They occasionally draw big acts like Johnny Silverhand and Carrie Uridine, but only under aliases. 34. Medical Technologies, a body bank. 35. City Police Precinct No. 1. 36. Short Circuit. The Short Circuit is one of many bars in Night City. Like most of them, the bar has its regulars, who seem to mostly be netrunners and techies. Unbeknownst to most of the city, however, Livewire, one of the most renowned netrunners, has a shop in the back room of the bar where he buys and sells programs for use in the net. In addition to his trading programs, Livewire is also adept at creating his own programs or ones that other people order. 37. City College. 38. Savage Docks, a Ripper Dock joint. 39. City Police Precinct No. 3. 40. Night Owl, one of the few bars that is open all night. This is a heavy security, no-nonsense bar. You come here to drink when nothing else is open. 41 West Bank City, 42 Crisis Medical Center, a no questions asked medical center for fast patch-ups, 43 Cafe Chrome, a favorite rocker hangout, complete with 50s retro decor and jukebox, 44 Metal Storm, a dangerous chromer bar, 45 Warehouses, 46 Warehouses, 47 Metacross Preservation, an illicit body bank not too particular about IDs or death certificates, 48 The Slammer, well known among booster gangs as a place to settle disputes peacefully. If that doesn't work, the arena is there to settle them violently. The owner, Suds Gillette, also runs betting booths and occasionally rents out the arena for other events. 49 Camden Court, high security condos favored by solos, corps, rent is $3,000 a month. 50 McCarthy Field Stadium, main concert venue and home of the Night City Rangers, the local football team. 51 City Police Precinct 2. 52 Wing Chang, exclusive Chinese restaurant. 53 La Baguette, very trendy French cuisine. 54 Harry Kiri, sushi bar. 55 New Harbor Shopping Mall. 56 Grand Illusion, dance club. 57 The Afterlife. This bar is located in an old mortuary in Night City, consisting of 3 rooms, the antechamber, the crypt, and Hades. This bar is a favorite among solos that are currently between jobs. If you need to find armed help, this is the place to go. 58 Night City Fire Station number 1. 59 Lake Park Bandstand. 60 28th Street Park, contested booster gang turf. 61 28th Street Underpass, a booster gang meeting spot. 62 Night City Fire Station 2. 63 Budokan Performance Center. 64 Forlorn Hope, a Central American vet bar. Night City Encounters. Welcome to the main streets of the city. These encounter tables are fast and nasty ways to keep your players moving, thinking, and living cyberpunk. Check the table for the time of day, then roll a percentage, 2d10s, with 1 representing the tens place, to determine the outcome. Feel free to alter the participants or the locale for extra variety. Daytime encounters in Night City. 1 through 2, City Police. 1 patrol officer armed with AKR-20, armored in Kevlar vests. If you are wearing visible weapons or armor, he will stop you in a nice way and ask to see your identity papers. If you're argumentative, he will call for backup, 3 officers to take you in. 3 through 8 corporate guards. 4 corporate guards patrolling the area, armored in vests and helmets, carrying Uzis. If you're armed in a visible fashion, they will tell you to move on in a way that lets you know they're just itching to use those Uzis. 9 through 14 nomads. 4 nomads from the Johansson clan, huge, rough-hewn blonde Vikings in flak vests and leather pants, carrying fighting knives and rifles. If there are attractive women in your group, they will whistle and make a general attempt at a pass. If not, they will move on. 15 through 20 Booster Gang, 4 low-level street punks in the colors of the Metal Warriors. They are armed with scratchers and wearing armor jackets. If your party is larger than theirs, they will avoid you. If of smaller or equal size, they will try to rough you up right on the street. 21 through 23 Petty Criminal, 1 pickpocket, his reflex is 8, his pickpocket skills plus 6. Armed with only a knife. If he's successful, you have lost your wallet, and all cash, cards, etc. If he fails in the attempt, feel free to beat him up into a pulp. It can only improve his technique. 24 through 29 Solo Team, 3 solos armed in flak vests and pants carrying a mix of assault weapons. If you are wearing a rival corporate uniform or patch, they will 1 through 5 look you over and move on. 6 through 10 they will pick a fight. If you are wearing their corporate colors, they'll ask you to join them for a drink. Roll 1d10 and take your chances. 30 through 33 Booster Gang, 6 members of the Iron Sights gang armed with automatic pistols and rippers. They will hassle any attractive men or women in the party. The gang is mixed sex. Shake you down for money and generally be looking for a fight. Go ahead and give it to them. 34 through 39 Techies, 2 techies without weapons or armor. If you are wearing any unusual weapons or cybertech, they will stop and ask to look. If it's removable, they may offer to trade some skilled chipware up to the referee's discretion in exchange. 40 through 42 Colties. The Inquisitors are out in force on the street, 6 of them, armed with hidden and chaku, corner you to hand out literature. If you are wearing any visible cybertech, arms, eyes with logos, etc., be prepared to be heavily harassed and followed. 43 through 45 Private Investigator. You observe him/her shadowing you. The PI is armed with a heavy caliber revolver and wearing an armored jacket. If you rough the PI up a bit, you may discover that he/she thinks you are someone else. 46 through 51 Corporates. 2 corporates from a middle-level firm headed for lunch. One is wearing an armor t-shirt under his or her suit. Neither are armed, but both carry cell phones. Roll 1d10, 1 through 4, they are being followed by thugs intent on robbery. If you are feeling altruistic or just want to score a reward, here's your chance. 5 through 8, they are lost and will ask for directions to the restaurant. You could lead them the wrong way and mug them in an alley. 9 through 10, they know you from a previous encounter and stop you on purpose. Not good, probably. 52 through 57, medias. A camera and interviewer team doing random man-on-the-street stories. The subject of the interview will vary wildly, depending on recent events and what's considered controversial at the time. If you want to be well known, this will put your face on TV screens all over Night City. On the other hand, it may alert your worst enemies to the fact you are still alive. 58 through 64, locals. Young men or women, 2 to 6 total. Roll 1d10. Will be friendly on 1 through 5, hostile on 6 through 8, abusive on 9 through 10. No weapons or armor. These guys must be crazy. 65 through 70, crazy. Some bearded, wild-eyed freak in torn rags. Roll 1d10. On 1 through 5, he rants at you a while, then starts to rant at someone else. 6 through 8, he decides you are one of the space aliens from Venus, and follows you, screaming invective. 9 through 10, he starts to scream, passes out in front of you, and everyone around thinks you had something to do with it. 71 through 75, Trauma Team, standard 5-man team on a lunch break. Their AV is parked at the end of the corner while their solos keep watch. This might be a good time to make friends and spread a little insurance Eurobucks around. 76 through 81, Rocker Boys, a 3-man band on the way to practice, carrying real guitars and wearing leathers, no less. Roll 1d10, on a 1 through 4 they will invite you to their gig tonight. 82 through 90, Poser Gang, 5 members of the well-known Kennedy's Poser Gang. 2 male members look like RFK, while 1 looks like JFK. The 2 females look like Jackie. If your group says anything about their appearance, their boosted hearing will pick it up and they will immediately take offense. They are wearing armor tees under their retro-style 60s clothing and carrying heavy handguns. JFK has a cyberchrome right arm. 91 through 96, security guards. You're treading too close to the trail of an important corporate. These guys will come back and warn you off. Flak armor, Sternmeyer 35's boosted reflexes. 97 through 100, Media Star, famous media star. Roll 1d10, 1 through 6 will sign autographs if asked. 7 through 9 will be hostile and yell for a policeman or bodyguard. On a 10, he/she will take a liking to one member of the party and allow you to tag along. Evening encounters in Night City. 1 through 5, City Police. 2 patrol officers armed with FNRALs, armored in flak vests, pants. If you are wearing visible weapons or armor, they will stop you and demand identity papers. If you're argumentative, they will call for backup, 3 officers to take you in. If you reach for a weapon, they'll shoot first, fill out the paperwork later. 6 through 11, Corporate Guards. 4 corporate guards patrolling the area, armored in flak vests and helmets, carrying Minami 10s. Unless you're a corporate, they don't think you have any business running around the nice, clean city at night. Move it, punk. 12 through 17, Nomads, a mixed group of 6 nomads from the Roadrunners pack, wearing flak vests and leather pants, carrying fighting knives and rifles. Moderately drunk and looking for a fight, they will hassle any attractive-looking men or women in your group. Face it, they want a fight. Give them one. 18 through 24, Booster Gang, 5 low-level street punks from the Piranha's Booster Gang. If you look like easy prey and have money, they'll rough you up. They are armed with medium handguns, knives, and boosted reflexes. 25 through 30, Street Punks, 6 smash heads looking for credit to feed their habit. If you're not wearing corporate or booster colors, they'll try to rush you right on the street. Armed with fighting knives, no armor. 31 through 36, Solo Team, 4 solos armored in flak vests and pants, carrying smart gun chipped H&K MP5Ks. Boosted reflexes, boosted hearing, cyber optics with low light, IR and targeting, obviously up to some gray operation. If you're wearing a rival corporate uniform or patch, they will 1 through 5 dodge you and move on. 6 through 10 decide you are a witness and ought to be totaled right now. 37 through 42, Booster Gang, 6 members of the Iron Sights Gang, armed with automatic weapons, rippers, IR cyber optics, boosted reflexes. They will hassle any attractive men or women in the party. The gang is a mixed sex. Shake you down for money and generally be looking for a fight. This might be tougher than the daylight crowd was. 43 through 44, Techies, 2 techies, 1 with a Minami 10 submachine gun wearing flak vests. Roll 1d10, 1 through 2, they are lugging a crate of tools into an AV4. 3 through 5, they are working on a city system in your path. 6 through 10, they are walking toward you on their way to work. 45 through 50, Culties. The Inquisitors are out in maximum force. 6 of them, armed only with nunchaku, corner you for inspection. If you are wearing any visible cyber tech, arms, eyes with logos, etc., they will proceed to beat you to a pulp. 51 through 54, Private Investigator. Roll 1d10. On 1 through 3, he/she is ahead of you, hassling an informant on the street corner concerning the whereabouts of a suspect. 4 through 7, he or she is shadowing someone ahead of you. 8 through 10, they will stop you and ask you whether you have seen the person they are following. The PI is armed with a heavy caliber revolver and wearing an armored jacket. 55 through 57, Corporates. 4 corporates from a large firm, headed for the Lev train station. Both are wearing armor t-shirts under the suits and carrying polymer one-shots. Roll 1d10, 1 through 4, they are being followed by thugs intent on robbery. 5 through 8, they think you're boosters and will open fire at any provocation. 9 through 10, they not only think you're trouble, but will call for corporate backup. See corporate guards above. 58 through 64, Locals, young man or woman. Roll 1d10. 1 through 5, they are being held up by 2 thugs from the Metal Warriors gang. 6 through 10, they are being beaten severely by the Inquisitors for the sin of having designer eyes. 65 through 70, Firefight. Great, you just walked into a major altercation between the Brady Bunch, a high-level poser gang that all look like the refugees from an old sitcom, and the Red Chrome Legion, a neo-fascist booster gang. Both are wearing armor jackets and firing large caliber handguns. Rippers, cyber arm weapons, and slice and dices are everywhere. Pick a side or pick a target. 71 through 75, Trauma Team. The AV-4 hits the ground in the middle of a recent firefight. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 5, the team decides you're bystanders and ignores you. On a 6 through 10, they figure you're part of the problem and the solos open up with Mac 14s. 76 through 80, Rocker Boys. You overtake a 4-man band on the way to a gig, backed up by their 2 solo bodyguards and their fixer manager. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 4, they will invite you to join them. 5 through 8, they will send the solos to deal with those guys who are following them. 9 through 10, they ignore you. 81 through 85, Medias. A camera and interviewer team, staking out a building on a hot assignment. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 5, they will be spotted by their story subject and a firefight will ensue. You, of course, will be right in the middle of it. 86 through 88, Major Criminal. You've walked into a major operation of the notorious Gagatalia family. 4 solo-type men armed with medium and heavy pistols and wearing flak vests are unloading a drug cargo out of a truck. Roll 1d10. 1 through 4, they don't notice you. 5 through 8, they notice you and 1 warns you off. 9 through 10, they decide you are a witness and not to be totaled right now. 89 through 94, Chromers. 4 members of the Steel Slaughter Slammers. They are wearing armor tees with metal spiked leathers. All have metal arms covered with chrome, with rippers and medium pistols built in. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 6, they will go for you. On 7 through 8, they'll pass you by. On 9 through 10, they take a liking to a member of the party and invite you to tag along with them. 95 through 97, Solo Team. 3 solos armed in flak vests and pants carrying smart gun chipped Uzis, boosted reflexes, cyber optics with low light, targeting. These guys are a total black operation, an assassination. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 5, you ignore them. They'll ignore you. 6 through 10, they'll decide you are a witness and ought to be totaled right now. 98 through 100, Media Star. Famous media star. Roll 1d10. 1 through 6, he or she will sign autographs of ass. 7 through 9, will be hostile and yell for a policeman or bodyguard. On a 10, he/she will take a liking to one member of the party and allow you to tag along. After midnight encounters in Night City, 1 through 10, City Police. 2 patrol officers armed with Militech Ronin assault rifles, armored in flak vests, pants, helmets. If you are wearing visible weapons or armor, they will stop you and demand identity papers. You've got no business running around after midnight and they know it. They'll stop you and look for any pretext to make a bust. If you're wearing visible weapons, consider yourself detained. If you go for a weapon, they will shoot first and forget the paperwork. 11 through 22, Corporate Guards. 4 corporate guards patrolling the area, armored in flak vests and helmets, carrying FNRALs. What are you doing on the property after midnight? Can't have a good reason. Blam blam blam. 23 through 30, Nomads. A mixed group of 4 nomads from the Wildman Pack, wearing flak vests, tattoos, and leather pants, carrying fighting knives and rifles. As long as you stay clear of their bikes, they'll ignore you and concentrate on beating that family of corporates to mush. 31 through 40, Booster Gang. 5 low-level street punks from the Crazy Chicken Booster Gang. They are armed with 45 automatics, knives, and boosted reflexes. They're looking for lacers or any other possible source of ready cash. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 7, you're it. 41 through 50, street punks, 4 lace addicts looking for credit to feed their habit. Even if you're wearing corporate or booster colors, they'll rush you. These guys don't care, and they don't feel pain. Armed with fighting knives, scratchers, no armor. 51 through 60, solo team, 2 solos armed in flak vests and pants, carrying smart gun chipped H&K MPK-9, boosted reflexes, boosted hearing, cyber optics with low light, IR, and targeting. Obviously up to some gray operation. If you're wearing a rival corporate uniform or patch, they will 1 through 5 dodge you and move on, 6 through 10 decide you are a witness and not to be totaled right now. 61 through 75, Booster Gang. 6 members of the Blood Razors gang, armed with automatic weapons, rippers, IR optics, boosted reflexes. Hassle you? Nah, they'll just torture you and listen to you scream. For fun, afterwards, they'll sell your body to the donor center for cash. 76 through 80, Colties. It's Inquisition time. The Inquisitors are out in maximum force, 6 of them armed openly with nunchaku, handguns, and whips or corner you. Only a servant of the metal demons would be abroad at this hour. Any decent citizen would be home asleep. Hack, slay, and maim the heretic. 81 through 82, Private Investigator. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 3, he or she is ahead of you, hassling an informant on the street corner concerning the whereabouts of a suspect. 4 through 7, he or she is shadowing someone ahead of you. 8 through 10, they will stop you and ask whether you have seen the person they are following. The PI is armed with a heavy caliber revolver and wearing an armored jacket. 83 through 86, Chromers, 4 members of the Steel Slaughter Slammers. They are wearing armor tees with metal spiked leathers. All have metal arms covered with chrome, with rippers and 45 cals built in. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 6, they will go for you. On 7 through 8, they'll pass you by. On 9 through 10, they'll take a liking to a member of the party and invite you to tag along with them. 87, Medias, a camera and interviewer team looking for a story. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 5, they will be spotted by their story subject and a firefight will ensue. You, of course, will be right in the middle of it. On a 6 through 10, they'll decide you're the story and follow you. 88 through 90, Locals, young man or woman, roll 1d10, 1 through 5, they are being beaten by 4 thugs and the Blood Razors gang. 6 through 10, they are being beaten severely by the Inquisitors for the sin of having designer eyes. 91 through 95, Firefight. Great, you just walked into a major altercation between the Brady Bunch, a high-level poser gang that all look like refugees from an old sitcom, and the Red Chrome Legion, a neo-fascist booster gang. Both are wearing armor jackets and firing large-caliber handguns. Rippers, cyber arm, weapons, and slice and dices are everywhere. Pick a side or pick a target. 96 through 98, Trauma Team. The AV4 hits the ground in the middle of a recent firefight. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 5, the team decides you're bystanders and ignore you. On 6 through 10, they figure you're part of the problem and the solos open up with the MAC-10s. 99, Major Criminal. You've walked into a major operation of the notorious Skagatalia family. 4 solo-type men armed with Ingram MAC-14s and wearing flak vests are unloading a drug cargo out of a truck. Roll 1d10. 1 through 4, they don't notice you. 5 through 8, they notice you and 1 warns you off. 9 through 10, they decide you are a witness and ought to be told right now. 100, Solo Team. 3 solos armed in flak vests and pants, carrying smart gun chipped Uzis, boosted reflexes, cyber optics with low light targeting. These guys are on a total block operation, an assassination. Roll 1d10. On a 1 through 5, if you ignore them, they'll ignore you. 6 through 10, they'll decide you are a witness and ought to be told right now. Some personalities of Night City. Introducing a few people you're likely to meet at any time on the streets of the city. These personalities are designed to be played as general character classes. Fireman, Fixer. Fireman is the most well-known of the many local arms dealers. His main distinction comes from the fact that he supplies many of the legitimate businesses with security systems in addition to the weapons that the bouncers hired solos use. Fireman was originally a cyber soldier in the Nicaragua conflict that used his contacts after leaving the service to supply his modest business. In addition to his arms dealing, Fireman is also involved in information dealing, something that makes him very popular with fixers in the city. Blacklist Tech, a renegade chemical/cyber engineer from the Biotechnica Corporation. Blacklist makes his presence known in Night City in several ways. He is the man that booster gangs see to get personalized cybernetics, the man that corporations see to get viruses synthesized, and the man that the police talk to when they need help in identifying and analyzing chemicals used in crimes. Rumor has it that Biotechnica has a hit out on him for taking certain formulas that he developed with him when he left. Suds Juliet, rocker boy. A retired rocker boy who made his money on several classic 1990s albums, Suds now runs a speakeasy, specializing in his homebrew, in an old warehouse. This speakeasy, known as the Slammer, is a central meeting place for many peace talks between gangs. This is primarily due to the fact that the rest of the warehouse has been converted into an arena by Suds for non-peaceful resolutions to gang disputes. On occasion, Suds has been known to pull out his axe and play for the crowd. David Windman, corporate. David Windman is a typical corp brown-noser, always looking for a way to get to the top quicker than anyone else. 2 years ago, he formed his own personal hit squad of solos known on the streets as the Lead Messengers. After successfully removing several people that were in the way of his making president of the local division of Biotechnica, he realized that there was a lot of profit to be made in hiring out the messengers. He now loans them to other corporate friends of his in order to help them gain power. He has the vision of total city control once he has all of his friends in power. Strawberry, cop. Strawberry was given his name for his naturally red hair, an unusual sight in Night City, the fact that it's natural, not the color. Strawberry is a cop who has spent all of his 15 years on the force walking the streets of Night City. Although he has sworn to uphold the law, he also knows when to look the other way. Strawberry is a rarity in the 2000s. He cares. Instead of busting someone who is doing drugs, he generally takes them to a detox clinic with the hope that they will beat the habit. Although he is a cop, almost everyone on the streets will go out of their way to help him out in a pinch. Hypo, Nomad Booster. No one knows where Hypo came from, but everyone agrees that he is crazy. He was given the name after he opened a detox clinic in the worst part of Night City. Unlike the major detox clinics, Hypo does not charge anything for his services except for a promise that his successes will try and help someone else by bringing them to his clinic. Livewire, Netrunner. Livewire is a netrunner who used to be associated with a solo team known as the Devil's Horde, until the team disbanded in 2011 due to a mishap in an operation that killed off everyone except Livewire and one other member. These days, Livewire can usually be found in a small shop that he runs out of the back room of the Short Circuit, a local bar. It is said that he has access to any program for the right price, and if he doesn't have it, he will make it. Lucifer, solo. Lucifer is the founding member and only survivor of the Devil's Horde besides Livewire. Known for his vicious, no-holds-bar, hand-to-hand combat style, Lucifer can be bought for the right price. He generally keeps to himself, but has been known to work with Livewire on occasion. Athena, Netrunner. Athena is the leader of an all-woman booster game known as the Valkyries. She is often found in the company of two of her soldiers, Artemis and Hera. Besides her activities as the Valkyrie leader, Athena also runs the net for a solo known on the streets as Kestrel. Kestrel, solo. Like many solos, Kestrel gained her combat experience in the Central American conflict. What makes her different is the fact that she fought for a corporation that backed the losing side. Near the end of the war, Kestrel saw that her side was losing and arranged to be killed in action. After faking her death, she paid her way into a corporate solo team that was soon sent out on a suicide mission. Only her knowledge of the opposition and the place they were going to hit allowed her to escape certain death. Today, she hires herself out to individuals only, having long since lost any trust in corporations. White Lion, Fixer. The White Lion is one of Night City's most well-known fixers. She has contacts into several of the main corporations as well as the underworld of Night City. Although most people would have heard of her, very few know where to find her. She likes to keep her whereabouts a secret because she sold some information that led to the downfall of a wealthy mob family, who then put a hit out on her. If someone tries to collect on this hit, they will find themselves in deep trouble as there are many people who owe their lives to the White Lion and are more than willing to protect her. Pythagoras, Netrunner. Pythagoras is a little bit of everything, hacker, netrunner, techie. He is most well known for his abilities in adapting software that already exists, but he is not at all bad at creating his own. Although he tries to hide it, most people know that it was he that was solely responsible for the downfall of the Hiroshi Electronics Corporation after they threatened to set him up for refusing to work for them. It is this reputation that keeps other corporations from hiring his services. Watchmaker, Medtechie. Watchmaker is both a biotechnician and a cyber technician, whose claim to fame was her invention of the skin watch. After a few years of working in the corporate world, Watchmaker decided that she could make more money on her own. She now resides in Night City and does a fair amount of renegade surgery for booster gangs and corps alike. Nostradamus, Media. Unlike the Nostradamus of the 1400s, this one specializes not in the future, but in the past and present. He is somewhat of a recluse, living in a converted warehouse that has many defenses. Inside the warehouse lies the biggest collection of real books that are left in the city. Nostradamus uses these books along with a gigantic mainframe to compile all the information that he can. To facilitate this collection, he often hires netrunners to acquire the saleable information that he is also known for brokering. Ares, solo. Ares is the living example of a man who has been through hell and come back to tell about it. Many years ago, he was a commander for the CIA, closely associated with the Gang of Four. After the fall of the United States, he ran covert operations in Central America for a while, then surfaced in Night City in 2010 as a high-price solo. Over the years, his humanity slowly drained away until he went Borg about a year later. After his capture, which was well publicized by the media, he underwent the brain dance and is now working for the Night City police force hunting down other Borgs. RoboCop. Bess Isis, media. Bess Isis is a well-known media who has a reputation for being slightly off balance when it comes to scooping other medias. More than once, she has broken a few rules to get inside of some big story, sometimes at a cost. She now has one chrome leg and a similar replacement for half of her chest. These replacements were necessary after she faked injury to get a story on meat jumping. Music Man, Rocker Boy. Music Man is the equivalent of Night City's wandering minstrel. He has no set home but plays for his lodging at various bars. In addition to his music, Music Man also sells information. Bag Lady, Fixer. No one knows where she came from, but one day she appeared in Night City with a burlap bag over one shoulder that was full of sundry items, all of which were stolen. It has been said that she is the last person that people go to when they need something, yet she always seems to have it. Just another Friday night. You pay your $2 at the door and walk in. Over at the bar, there are the usual lines, so you decide to skip the bar front action. Feeling on top of the world, you go out to the main floor for another night of the club life. At first glance, the club seems like a mixing place of all types of people. Then you realize that they're all segregated. Posers at the back trying to get noticed, your average punks in the middle, acting oblivious to their surroundings. There are chromers bashing their heads against the walls on one side, while the boosters are on the other looking for trouble. And last but not least, there are the dwarf heads, slamming into each other at the front, next to the stage where the band of the night blares out hits of today and of the past. They say people like Johnny Silverhand and Carrie Yerradine got their start in clubs just like this one, but you think it's just hype. After all, people like Johnny Silverhand didn't need clubs to make them larger than life. They were born that way. It's only rock and roll, right? Out on the streets of Night City, there's stories going on, street history being made. Whether it's boosters in the alleys, nomads on the road, or rockers in the club, there's action and trouble everywhere you look. And the trauma team hovers overhead, waiting to pick up the pieces for a price. Here comes a taste of the city, in your face. A Cool Metal Fire, Silverhand Still Can Rock. Reprinted from Rocker Boy magazine, June 2013. From his humble beginnings in the group Samurai to his first 5 solo albums, Johnny Silverhand has become the household word in rock and roll. With his latest release, A Cool Metal Fire, Johnny Silverhand is making his push to become a legend. The album opens up, as all of his solo albums have, with a rip-roaring instrumental, Dancing With My Axe, that is guaranteed to set your stereo on fire. This fast-paced, no-holds-barred display of guitar work is so hot that you'll want to listen to it twice. And if that isn't enough in itself, you come to track 2, Chippin' In. This piece, like the first, is another fast-paced lightning bolt of pure rock and roll. It also asks the question of today's society that cannot be ignored. If we continue the current trend of replacing our body parts with metal, what will we have left in the end? The rest of the album is almost typical Silverhand, with its energetic guitar playing and thought-provoking lyrics. The album takes us to the heart of our culture and allows us to monitor its pulse. He does, however, come up with 3 other songs that really stand out. The first 2, Out of the City and Flashing Lights, go so well together, both thematically and musically, that they almost seem to be one song in totality instead of 2 individual ones. These 2 songs bring out the ethereal vision of today from a non-partisan outsider that is innocent of our ways. It leaves the listener with a new way of looking at his own life, even as it passes by the speed of light. The last song of the album, Never Fade Away, departs from the mainstream sound of Johnny Silverhand and brings him into a new dimension musically. The basic rhythm is both simplistic and concise. The song makes no pretenses at being a song about today, but doesn't leave you with a gritty metal aftertaste like most of his peers. Although I'm not sure that this song really belongs with the others on the album because of its departure musically, I do know that it should have been recorded somewhere else. So A Cool Metal Fire is a good place as any. Overall, I found A Cool Metal Fire to be more than just your ordinary everyday record. With its driving beat and spellbinding lyrics, the album takes us to the heart of our culture and allows us to monitor its pulse. Silverhand Update, Clone Tour begins. After 6 months of seclusion following an unsuccessful assassination attempt, rocker boy Johnny Silverhand has re-entered the music scene to promote his new LP. The album Clone Wars deals with recent cloning breakthroughs and the idea of bioengineered humans being created for military and industrial purposes. Interviewed in his Night City studio, Silverhand commented, "I needed a few months to let the heat die down over the last disc. Clone Wars was pretty intense, and a lot of people, particularly the Biotechnica guys, didn't like the slavery implications I wrote into it. I won't say they fronted the hit on me, but hey, you've got a brain, right?" Pretentious or Political, Seattle's Cutthroat. Review by Jeff Daniel. The audience seems to consist of the mindless, overpainted, underdressed children that you would find at most chromatic metal concerts. Each one of them is so wrapped up in their own image that they often don't seem to even know who the band that they are seeing is. Tonight is a night that they will always remember though, because Cutthroat is about to hit the stage. So reads the back cover of Slashing Steel, the new live album by Cutthroat. Some people think that these kings of chrome are getting a little too pretentious when referring to themselves, but I had a chance to talk to Knife Edge, the lead singer and bassist for the band, who thinks otherwise. Jeff Daniel, people often say that you guys are just a little pretentious when talking about yourselves. Why do you think that is? Knife Edge, that's easy. Unlike most chromatic bands today, we take our roots from the old punk bands of the late 1970s and early 80s. It's not the blazing style that used to be called speed metal, though we do use that a lot. Politics is the driving force behind our band. It's because we are so political that we force ourselves onto our listeners. If that is pretentious, then I guess we are. JD, when you say you are a political band, what do you mean? K, we view ourselves as messengers. It is our job to open the eyes of our listeners with our music. The best eye-opening messages are in political issues and stories. JD, like the song Kalakari. K, exactly. Most people today don't even remember the name Hiram Kalakari, and they certainly don't remember what he did. It's songs about things that have shaped our lives that we play. We try and tell the truth as we see it, not what the public wants to hear. JD, then how do you explain the success of Kalakari? As of today, it is currently number 4 on the Euro Radio Top 10. K, you got me. If we had known that it would be such a hit, well, I don't know. Maybe we would have done something different to promote the album. Though I suppose it's really not going to matter since I still think that the average person is not going to know who the fuck Kalakari was. JD, getting back to your political motivation, how do you justify Jinsu Lover as being political? K, easy. I said we had our background in politics, not our entire lives motivated by it, but if you listen very closely, you will find out that it is a political song of sorts. Jinsu Lover is not about a sexual lover, but rather a member of a booster gang who is overenthusiastic about using his rippers. It's guys like the Jinsu Lover who make our streets unsafe to walk at night. JD, what's next for Cutthroat? Slashing Steel is being called a new innovation in the music industry. How do you intend to follow it up? K, you got me. When we released a live album of entirely new material, we expected to have our diehard fans buy it and that was it. Now the damn thing's gone and sold over 2 million copies. I expect we'll decide what's next for us after we tour. JD. Destiny, still on the edge, still fighting the war. 50 years gone by since we heard our nation's cry. 50 years gone by since we all watched you die. It is lyrics like these that make Destiny one of the most provoking bands of our time. Their new hit, Song for John, 50 Years, is not only filled with political rhetoric, but also reminds us of a time when America was still great. Jesse Moore of Destiny. Since their debut album, Walking the Skies, Destiny has consistently provided the listening public with songs that hit close to home. Band leader Jesse Moore explains, "We didn't always used to be political. In fact, I didn't even care about anything other than making money until 10 years ago. All I wanted was the fame, and all the benefits that came with it. Now times are different. It seems all I want now is to get my messages across." But fame and fortune did elude them for many years until they got their big break opening for the now defunct Cowboy Panzer. It was on that tour that the audience really started to notice their music. I think it was the fact that Cowboy Panzer was so big and political. I found out that we were going to open for them on the tour, and all of a sudden I knew our music had to change. I must have written 30 songs on that tour, some of which were evenly worked on into our set. Despite the growing interest that Jesse was showing in political issues, the band continued to produce other songs as well. I can remember the first time we went into the studio after the CP tour. I had all these songs I wanted to record, but the group started right in on this bubblegum tune called Input Out. I was furious. I mean, here I was with this great message to sing, and all these guys wanted to do was talk about bad relationships. It was about then when I threatened to quit. Thinking back on it now, I can understand why the band didn't think I was serious. I must have threatened to quit about 6 times in the first 9 months of our existence, and all the time I was using those threats so I could get my own way. I really was a spoiled brat. It took me about 5 months before I convinced them that I was serious. By then we had already recorded My Baby Left Me for a Short Circuit. Pleading with the band, I convinced them to start over using the stuff I had written on the tour, instead of stuff like Input Out when it was all over. Some 10 months after we trashed the stuff from My Baby, we had recorded Dinner with Himmler. It was that album that attracted so much attention from the critics. They called it the new political feeling of the 2000s. The fame and fortune that Destiny had been looking forward to had been found. Their second album after the Cowboy Panzer tour gained them even more notoriety, so much that they were able to tour as a headliner instead of a backup band. Destiny drummer Time Master recalls, "It was a big change. I mean, one day you're opening for some big name group, then you're a big name group. I can still remember the difference in the fans. One day you're slogging through an old number, listening to the fans yawning, and the next the fans are going wild." I remember this one gig we did on the Cheyenne Mountain tour when the sleek-looking Cromer comes up to me and offers to jack in. This type of thing never happened as an opening band. After the release of Cheyenne Mountain, the band drew some flack from the Europeans. In fact, the album was banned for a while in several countries overseas. "I can remember that," says Time Master. "Jessie was crushed. She was so into her new political mood that she got depressed that the entire world wasn't hearing her message. But it wasn't the Europeans we had to worry about. Back here in the United States, we had several corporations, who shall remain nameless, who wanted our heads on worldwide news." More than once on that tour, we had our backstage crews and roadies, which included a couple of guys who used to be professional wrestlers back in the 90s, toss some people out who wanted to do something other than give us praise. The band still has some problems with fans. 2 times on the last tour, there were fans arrested for trying to break into the tour bus. And on more than one occasion, there have been young women claiming to have been attacked by band members. Yeah, I know all that stuff, but what really gets me is that all our real fans know that the 2 posers arrested were dwarfed out and looking for a place to recycle. As for those rape attempts, those are just corporations trying as best they can to get us out of the spotlight. Our true fans know that we are all involved in permanent interfaces. Destiny, a band fighting for the truth, in a struggle against corporations that don't want to hear the truth. All they can do is hope to survive. Nomads, 2 Views from the Road, by James Nerdwell. The McCains, farmers on the run. Bud and Martha McCain tried to hold on to their land, but the AgriCorps were determined to remove them. Even after the AgriCorps bought the local bank so that they could foreclose on their property, the McCains were steadfast in their resolve to remain on the land that had been in their family for generations. Then came the bad luck. Their eldest son perished in a car accident. Their daughter made an addict by corporate drug lords. Then came the plague. Within 12 hours, all the cattle and the poultry were dead. The crops withered husks. The McCains left their land, promising to someday retake what was rightfully theirs. It was a dream they shared with many others. Over years, the McCains have formed a new party, a family of the homeless and the dispossessed. They came on foot, on motorcycles, in fleets of RVs. Under the leadership of Bud McCain, they formed a roving community, known as the Huskers to outsiders due to their Corn Belt roots. Traveling the roadways of America, finding work where they can, setting up camp when they are able, moving on when the locals can no longer tolerate them, the Huskers have a common goal, to someday retake their land. Labeled as terrorists for their bold strikes against the industries which have rendered them homeless, the McCains prefer to think themselves as honest folk, turned freedom fighters. The Huskers have long memories. Those who befriend them have an ally for life. Those who anger them have a dangerous foe. Will the McCains retake their stolen homeland? Time will tell, but with every new atrocity committed by the AgriCorps, their numbers grow. The Crazy Quilts, Mercenary Brotherhood. The Central American Wars were hard on the soldiers who fought in them. Harder still was coming home. The cities were urban wastelands, unsuited for raising a family. Homes, towns, whole cities had disappeared off the maps. Victims of progress. These young soldiers returned to an America in which nothing was sacred and everything was for sale. Many found that they were unwelcome relics of the past. With nothing else to turn to, many of these dispossessed combat men and women turned to the only support network they had, each other, and the only profession they knew, soldiering. Recruited from all over the country, the Crazy Quilts are one such group. Together they formed one of many offshoots of nomad culture, the Mercenary Brotherhood. Named for their colorful uniforms, a ragtag collection of fabric scraps roughly forming a camouflage pattern, they sell the one commodity they have left in a ruined world, their honor and fighting skills. The Crazy Quilts hire themselves out, whether singly or in small battalions. Many act as bodyguards, others hire out as freelance mercs. corporate extraction forces, or as hitmen and assassins, the Crazy Quilts place honor above all else. You can be certain that they will never turn upon their employers, never sell out, never back down, and never desert a comrade. The Crazy Quilts consider themselves the last bastion of professional integrity in an otherwise chaotic society. It is this uncompromising reputation which has made the Crazy Quilts a powerful and respected force in this cyberpunk world. Night City Today, December 17th, 2020. Volume 206, Number 46. Report: Walter Pickering's Night City Streets. Street direct with the Blood Razors. Dateline Night City. The city's never really dark. Not for those who live and die in it, a relentless neon circuit of steel and glass. Night in Night City is a hot pulsing thing. You feel it coursing through the whacked out veins of drugged up dwarf heads, high on lace and slam. See it in the cookie cutter stares of pale-faced posers, just out from under the knife. But no matter what your kick is, you're probably not experiencing it alone. You belong in the city, or you die. People congealing together like spattered blood, moving to 1,000 different songs. You hear the Blood Razors song only once, and you never forget. I'll never know why a group of boosters like the Razors let me run a night with their pack. Maybe I caught Hackman, the booster chieftain, in a good mood. It was party time. Hack's kid brother was getting his claws. Just a short brief for you folks out there in the burbs. You probably never heard of these booster boys before. Here in the city, they're as common as crud on the sidewalk. Gangs like the Razors have fused cyberware and violence into a deadly form of the street fashion that has been claiming the... Continued on page 219. From page 218, which is actually 228 and 229, it's a clear misprint. Lives of more than 40 citizens a week. The average booster is an amoral technophile. Hardware and wetware are the meat and drink of the booster, and they'll do anything to get it. Arson, robbery, muggings, assassinations. If there's money in it, enough for another small boost at a black market clinic, the booster will take to it like chrome on a pair of mirror shades. It's easier every time, they say. As more and more hardware is grafted, sockets drilled, and chips implanted, the booster sinks further into his psycho world machine-altered chaos. The best of them become the ringleaders. The worst are killing machines, riding on the edge of cyberpsychosis, ready to flatline themselves and everyone around them for that last big score. Worst of all, boosters travel in packs. Maybe it was my arm, the one I lost in Lima, that endeared me to Razor's top brass. It was an old model, military, and the dull steel and chip plastic put me on their level. They had shacked themselves in an old warehouse off of the main sprawl. In 2s and 3s they filtered in, screaming and shouting over deafening hardcore street rock. A few grabbed oiled rags and started cleaning their claws, fresh blood from a bunch of posers looking for action. Hackman sat on his plastic throne, staring out through gunmetal eyes at the graffiti-covered walls of the nest. Dwarfed up, he wasn't in the mood to answer questions. Only when his brother staggered in, there was a flicker from behind the stone-cut face. Metal arms crossed over armored chests. He popped his claws, a signal for the rest. They came at Hackman's bro from all sides, animal cries tearing from their throats as claws popped from housings and fingers. Steel and flesh monsters, pushed on by drugs, music, hardware, and each other. The kid bared his teeth as the first pair made their pass, striking home, rending bloody tears in his flesh with a surgeon's skill. He didn't fight, didn't run, didn't cry out. Soon his arms, legs, and chest were covered with thin lacerations. Knees buckling, he fell to the floor. I watched with fascinated horror as the pack pounced on their prey, kicking and biting. In minutes, it was over. They dragged the broken kid before the older bro, throwing him before their chieftain's feet. "Get up," the Hackman snarled. The kid pushed himself up to his knees, stared out of nowhere. "It hurts," he muttered through swollen lips. The kick sent him sprawling across the floor of the nest. "Life hurts," says the Hackman, over the jeers of his gang brothers. "You were born into a world of pain. If you don't like it, just leave now. Go outside in the gutter, crawl up and die. We welcome pain. We are pain. But we armor ourselves. Look around you. We are the city. Use your claws to hurt. Be one of us and pain won't touch you. You become the pain." He rose from his chair. "Are you ready to become the pain?" He forced himself to stand, blood painting the floor a greasy red. He turned to the nearest Razor and struck him in the jaw with a leathered gloved fist. The boosters roared their approval. The answer was yes. They stormed out of the building, claws exposed. They carried the kid on their shoulders. They would work their way across the city, heading towards a waiting Ripper dock, slashing and burning everything in their path. The cops stayed far away. No overtime bonus is worth messing with a Blood Razor initiation. The hospitals would report 13 casualties from the mayhem that night. Also that a 15-year-old kid could get his claws and join his brothers. Before I left the nest, the hackman, cooling his jets with Smash, asked me what I thought of his family. I popped the cassette out of my arm and stowed it in my bag. He could read about it on the net, just like the rest of you. Walter Pickering, News 54.
Booster Gangs, No Street is Safe, a special report by Mikuru Ponsumitsu. There's a fire on the street engulfing your neighborhood. Fueled by cheap designer drugs, cheap cyberware, and cheaper automatic weapons, the fire of gangsterism once again threatens to annihilate Night City. In the past 2 weeks, random shootings have escalated by 50%. Yesterday, 2 innocent bystanders were gunned down in a hail of weapon fire as they walked down to the corner food mart. Their crime? Walking through a section of crazy chicken turf during a gang dispute. Gangs. They're your neighbors. They're your kids. You need to know these guys and be ready for them, because in Night City, no street is safe. Brady Bunch. The Bunch is an extended family gang which protects runaway children. A few older adults run the gang and protect the turf, while the younger members steal and deal for family support. Extended families are territorial and fiercely protective of their members. Red Chrome Legion. The Legion is a skinhead gang. Young males united around a certain hate group ideology. Uniforms, flags, and militaristic slogans are the rule. The Red Chromers will attack anything that they think isn't right. Read just like them. Steel Slaughter Slammers, a typical chromatic metal gang. Chromer gangs like centering activities around their favorite rock bands, interdependent song lyrics as orders from their heroes. Chromatic rock gangs are into totally senseless, random acts of violence as a means of expression. The Gilligans. The Gilligans are a typical self-defense gang, in this case militant gays, who are tired of being attacked by groups like the Red Chrome Legion. They are relatively peaceful as long as you stay off their turf, the Marina District, and leave them alone. The Kennedys. The Kennedys are a typical poser gang. Posers adopt the clone look for protection. One Kennedy looks like another. Identification and impact. 20 JFKs are a pretty scary sight. These gangs center on recreating their own bizarre interpretations of their heroes. For example, the Kennedys Heinz import weekends, where all 400 members descend on a location for a week-long orgy of destruction. Metal Warriors. The Metal Warriors are a combat gang, with their activities centering around a type of warrior's code. Elaborate combat rituals, ranks, and body armor are all part of the mystique. Combat gangs are dangerous because once they declare war on someone, they never give up. Piranhas. The Piranhas are a typical party gang. They party, drink smash, take and deal drugs, and mug people, all as a part of a just because lifestyle. To these people, the party is everything. Inquisitors. The Inquisitors are a culty gang. Like the hate gangs, they center on a specific ideology, in this case religious. The Inquisitors think cyberware is blasphemous, and think nothing of tearing it right out of your body. They consider this saving your soul. Arasaka Security Corporation. Password please. Delta 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 Delta. Access granted. File desired? Symbiotics. Please wait. Symbiotics. Symbiotics is the file name given to updates on Booster Gang Iron sites, which is financed and controlled by Arasaka Security. Breakdown follows. Gang members, 43. Enhancements, varied. Location, Night City. The following report compiled by Rachel Tyrell. In accordance with my assignment, I met with said Booster Gang at designated meeting place. Upon their arrival, they proceeded to scan me for weapons and other noticeable cybernetics. When they were assured that I was in fact a representative of Arasaka, the leader was brought out from a nearby bar where she had most likely been watching the initial encounter. The first words out of the leader, who calls herself Brandywine, indicated to me that the gang obviously does not relish the idea of being a pawn for Arasaka, but resigns themselves to the stature because of the money we input into the gang. She then asked my purpose for calling such a meeting. Upon my telling her that Arasaka wished me to accompany the gang for a week to get a full scope of their activities, I was grabbed from behind and someone else threatened my life with several sharp blades protruding from their hands. These weapons, which are illegal, go by the street name of Rippers, and judging by their looks, I would estimate that they will do just that to the human flesh and bone. The gang's initial hostility stopped cold when I firmly told them that killing me, or even refusing to let me accompany them, would result in immediate stoppage of funds provided by Arasaka. It is my impression that the members of this gang hate their own humanity as well as other people's. This is further reinforced by my observation that the gang members that are held in the highest esteem are the ones that have the most metal meshed with their bodies. In my judgment, the members of this gang can easily be controlled by our organization by simply controlling their money supply to buy new cybernetics. The week I spent with the gang proves to me another theory that I had postulated. The gang not only hates humanity, which in itself could be reasoning for its existence, but also likes to hurt, mutilate, and kill others for what would seem to be the pure pleasure of it. These two factors lead me to the conclusion that the members of Iron Sights are all suffering from cyberpsychosis, and terminating our ties with them in the near future may be the best solution for all parties. Rachel Tyrell, 9/1/20. Gang violence erupts on Night City streets by Bess Isis. In the early morning hours, 17 youths were killed in yet another booster gang confrontation. Street sources say that a group of the Iron Sights gang were gathered at a bar known as Rainbow Nights when they were confronted by the red-robed Inquisitors. After a brief argument, fighting started, and when it was all over, there were 7 dead Inquisitors and 10 dead members of the Iron Sights. When we were finally able to reach the leader of the Inquisitors, who had asked that his name be withheld, he had several things to say about today's and other related incidents. In the midnight hour, when the sound of footsteps on the pavement strikes fear within your heart, the Inquisitors will be there to judge you. Tonight's example, the attack on the heretics known as the Iron Sights, is just the start of a new order that is coming to be, a new order that will be led by the Inquisitors. I stand here before the public not to preach of impending doom, but rather of judgment that will be rendered by the Inquisitors. For most of the public, they have nothing to fear, but there are some out there that should think about their sins, and how they will soon be punished for them. To further impact this statement, I need only point out to the case of the heretical members of the Iron Sights. They, like anyone else who has molded unnatural machinery into their God-given flesh, will be struck down to the last person by the Inquisitors. If that is not clear enough, then let me rephrase it. If you have no metal infused with your body, you are safe. If you have voluntarily undergone such blasphemous melding, then beware, the Inquisitors are here to judge you. Although he would not reveal his identity to the public, the head of the Inquisitors is thought to have some older, no longer believed, religious background, which can be seen as the cause for his slightly different views on today's society. Whatever his reason may be, the head of the Inquisitors has given his warning to the people of Night City. On an ending note, it must be pointed out that the chief of police for Night City was reluctant to answer questions regarding his plans for controlling the Inquisitors, and other gangs that threaten the citizens of Night City. In fact, the only thing we could get out of him was no comment. Sound familiar? First person, one night with the trauma team. Rich Meatball Charmer MD, dispatcher for Lifeline Trauma Incorporated, Night City Branch number 23. Transport, P&W Modified AV-4E Impact rated to threat level 7. Crews, 5. 2 medtechs, 2 solos, driver gunner. 6:30, early call, responded to Warehouse District. Patient victim of booster skirmish, open chest, trauma to liver, pancreas, 2 collapsed lungs, blood pH 4 over norm. Patient flatlined, unable to revive, removed model K100 Cyberarm with combat options for compensation. Suggest placing half of resale into company Christmas fund as per norm. 9:47, broken card alert at Harry Kiri Sushi Restaurant. Corp patient found choking on piece of squid. Administered swift slap to back and dislodge foreign object. Read patient list of response charges. Patient became hostile and threatened lawsuit. Added subcharges. Patient pulled firearm, forcing solo to fire in self-defense. Patient revived and brought to med center. Suggest canceling account after payment of bills. 11:23, solo down on grounds of Raven Microcybe Incorporated. Corp security became hostile and refused to allow extraction procedures of patient, claiming first rights due to Corporate Espionage Act of 2009. No one in team had ever heard of the act, and in accordance with standard procedure, we continued with extraction. Raven Incorporated's lawyers should be in contact concerning deaths of 6 security personnel who were in the path of AV4 upon departure. Patient revived and charged extra for ammo costs and company lawyers' fees. 14:15, firefight in Inner City. 2 broken cards. Upon arrival, discovered a team of REO Meatwagon Incorporated in process of loading carded patients onto their unit. Following company policy on meat jumping, we warned them off over loudspeaker. REO team opened up with small arms fire. Team RN Chesley Whitestone took the initiative and released napalm canisters. Resulting explosions cost lives of both the patients and the REO team. However, Nurse Whitestone's quick thinking saved companies and teams' reputations. Suggests that we sue REO Meatwagon the cost of patient accounts and munitions expenses. 15:55, broken card call at Grand Illusion Dance Hall and Bar. Subject patient 1 rocker boy, Carrie Uridine. Patient was in good health, but was under assault of young female fans. Dispensed tear gas and waded into the fold. The grateful Mr. Uridine billed the cost of extraction and a new set of clothes to his studio's account and gave us a healthy tip. Since the teeny boppers seem to enjoy the free-spirited chaos, I doubt the company need worry about lawsuits from irate parents. 1630, team members attacked in bar during rest break between calls. Shotgun-wielding booster attempted robbery. Criminal was dispatched by team security leader, Jazz Tobias. Criminal flatlined from small arms fire and set off cybernet lifeline response. Unable to revive. Suggest forfeiture of advance fees on account along with all personal effects. Due to the amount of cyberware on patient, it is possible that she was in first stages of cyberpsychosis. 1740, net call to alley behind Night City, chapter of Elks Lodge. Patient identified as DMS vid actress Samantha Horn. Apparent overdose of mixture of Dwarf and Slam. Patient revived. Dispatcher instructions followed to return patient to DMS studios. Team ambush while on approach vector to DMS pad by 3 AV4s bearing REO meat wagon markings. Took evasive action. Main stabilizers hold during fire exchange. DMS anti-air defenses opened up at range of 300 yards, scattering REO vehicles, one of which crashed over the financial district during retreat. Patient delivered after payment of hazardous duty fees and the promise of a night on the town with the chief surgeon. Have taken the liberty of placing all Lifeline teams on Class 1 alert. Counter all REO personnel and vehicles with extreme prejudice. See supplemental report on incident and vehicle damage. 1900, finished shift and returned vehicle to pool. Overtime and hazard duty pay logged with dispatcher. Team placed on 2-day paid layover while repair a vehicle in progress. Heavy weapons issued from Lifeline Armory. Fixers contacted to deal with REO personnel. Team will remain together until incident blows over. For emergencies, contact team via net passcode Stitch in Time. End of report. End of report. And that was section 15, Night City. A lot of cool things for a referee to use for traversing Night City, at least on the fundamentals. From what I heard, there is a whole book dedicated to fleshing out Night City, which I'm sure would just be a lovely read, but this supposedly has enough to get a referee started in a game of Cyberpunk 2020. For the first half, a lot of the focus was on celebrities like Rocker Boys, their goings-ons, and what the latest news on their album is, like interpretations and reviews. What I really was interested was getting into the gangs, which are what most players are probably going to be facing down and against. I really liked that they gave you some gangs, but it was a very small section. I would prefer if you would have more gangs to list. I know they gave you a view of the Blood Razors, which was pretty cool. It's kind of what I expected from, like, everyone knows Maelstrom now, the Maelstrom gang. They probably Blood Razors seem like they're not derived. The Maelstrom gang seems like they're derived from Blood Razors. They're just highly cybernetic, like, freaks. Not on Arasaka's payroll necessarily. I don't remember if they were. Oh, I think they were actually. Because they had the Flathead. No, they stole the Flathead from Militech, and anything against Militech is most likely Arasaka in 2077, so maybe they were. I really liked, actually, the One Night with Trauma team. It kind of shows you the whole spectrum that they have to deal with when it comes to emergency calls. One was silly Carrie Uridine having to, like, fend off fangirls that were too aggressive. One was making sure that that a corp exec doesn't choke on sushi and then gets pissed when he got charged exorbitant fees. And then the rest is pretty much like combat, what you would expect situations, and extracting patients from a very hostile zone. The anti-cyberware people, that is something we did not see a lot in 2077. We saw one crazy guy, I forget his name, but he preached about how cybernetics were, like, really bad. And then the other people who didn't partake in cybernetics were the monks, the, like, Shaolin monks, or I guess, I don't know, Tibetan monks maybe, like the more peaceful variety of monks, who just did not want anything to do with cybernetics at all, and were, for some reason, in Night City. I don't remember why. But in this version of Cyberpunk, these guys are religious fanatics that are willing to do anything to beat anyone that deserves it. They're more like Christian fundamentalists, more so than like peaceful Tibetan monks. For any aspiring referee, all these... The big takeaway for the Booster Gang's No Street is Safe section is there are different gangs that give themselves an identity about what they do. So, like, there's Chromatic Metal Gang, there's self-defense gangs, there's poser gangs. These are all the sort of categories that you can then inspire your own gangs and make them what they are. So, like, if you wanted a good gang that protects people, you would make something like the Brady Bunch, which are supposedly
picking up orphans off the street and giving them purpose in a home. Of course, they send them to like do very illegal tasks for their own benefit, but maybe you can have an benevolent or altruistic sort of gang mentality where they're forced to do bad things because that's just the way Night City is. The places of interest were nice. The problem I have with it, though, is that it just gives you a short description and then really nothing else. Like, if you wanted to actually run these places, you would need to build like a map, or I guess Theater of the Mind is a possibility, but it would be nice to have some example layouts like they gave you in Never Fade Away. Because if they wanted to go to, like, let's just say, WorldSat Communications, what the hell does that even look like? Of course, it would be a broadcasting news station, but are you supposed to just take the layout of any news broadcasting station? I do kind of like, I remember they were like, you should use your own city and layout and make that a cyberpunk city, which is kind of cool. Like, that's a really cool way to do it. And I never thought about that, but everyone knows modern day cyberpunk is all about going to Night City. So of course you'd want to get to know Night City and its inhabitants. But like I said, you probably need to buy the supplemental in order to get a true, full, fleshed out Night City going. I like that they give you example characters with all their stats laid out. They don't give you their skills, though, which would be a hassle. But I assume you could probably make something up. The encounters for Night City are good. They're good motivations and starters, but some of them say, like, they might like you and want you to tag along. Tag along for what? You're not really informed. You're going to have to make up something on the spot real quick. They give you some, like, equipment and stats. They don't even give you stats. They give you the equipment that they're carrying, their intention, and then that's pretty much it. If you would need to, like, prep a lot of this beforehand. So, like, if you were to randomly roll, like, let's just say, like, the booster gangs. Like, booster gangs should have, like, stats that you should refer to. Do they have a maximum reflex, greater than 10, lower than 10? You're going to need to prepare all that ahead of time if you actually want to use this table. Because there's no way you could run an actually fluid combat that makes sense and is consistent without that prep. It's not really a critique, it's more just like you're going to have to contend with that as a referee. I will not be reading pages 232 to 250 because those are all scenarios or aka adventures, and they have scream sheets that are supposed to be going day by day for the characters to inform them what's going on in Night City if you use them. So that's quote-unquote spoilers, but if you do want me to read them, just let me know, but I think it's unnecessary. This is for every single would-be referee to use for their players. There's a lot of good things in here, but I haven't read them yet, but I would assume that all these scream sheets will change Night City slowly so that the game that you're running will change for the players, and they'll have a whole host of different interests to check out to their heart's content. So I think I'm pretty much done reading the manual. I read this thing nearly cover to cover. It was not easy. There seems to be a lot of glaring oversights or issues. I'll give it credit. This is a very creative, very fleshed out, and very evocative game manual. It really brings the world to life if you read through it, which I really like a lot. That's something I don't think D&D struggles with, but there's a lot of tabletop systems that don't really focus on actually providing you a good depiction of their setting that it's included in the game manual. They might point you to like some novellas or like a big old book that you have to read to get a feel for it. But this does just sort of give you the whole kit and caboodle. This gives you the whole picture of what Cyberpunk's all about and what you can expect from this world. This seedy underground of nothing but gangs and violence. My big umbrages, though, are the skills seem redundant, cut down on the skills, or just make some skill... Yeah, so the skills are redundant. I would say group some skills together. Like, geology and mathematics don't need to be separated from, like, high school or, like, schooling skill. That should all just be like, I don't know, IQ skill or like deduction skill. There was one, so like stealth and shadowing, those are two completely different skills. I know that shadowing is supposed to be you wear a big trench coat, you hold up a newspaper, you're tracking someone, you're shadowing someone, but then stealth is completely avoiding them at all times. Just make the stealth skill and the shadowing skill like the same thing. I don't understand why they have to be two separate things. It just seems redundant to me. There's a lot of those I could go over, but I won't. Cybernetics. I know the limits are you have an empathy stat, your humanity gets lowered every time you put in a new cybernetic, but like what are the limits? I know from the table that your limits are you can only have one neural wear of any kind, I think. Well, that's not even true. You can only have like a Korenzikov or a Sandevistan, but then all these other things you could totally have like multiples of these, though I'm not sure exactly which ones. You can have, let's just say you have like infinite empathy, right? Like you will never go cyber psycho, and you have infinite money, so you can afford all these. And you have the best surgeon in the world with like, with like a medical skill of like 30, so he'll never miss. You can have infinite implants. You could have infinite bioware, I think. You can only have 4 cyber optics. Yeah, add up to 4 options per eye. 4 options per eye. That means you could have 8 different options. So that's the limit for your cyber optics. You can have multiple body weapons. You can have multiple cyber audios. You can have 3 options allowed for cyber legs and 4 options allowed for cyber arms, which I assume are like the hands and feet, or maybe something in their like their biceps, like Cybercop, not RoboCop style. Yeah, the built-ins to cyber limbs. You have like 4 options or something. Or it's implied that like once you get a cyber arm, you'll need to pay for a cyber hand of some sort. So spike hand and modular hand. You can only have 1 linear frame. I know that for sure. You can have, I don't know if you can have multiple body platings. I know they'll incur penalties to your reflex, but the limits on cyberware are very unclear, and I think that I need some clarification to know exactly what the limits are if you had infinite empathy and infinite money and the best surgeon in the goddamn universe. Another critique I had was I think I saw another entry where it said that a turn was 10 seconds. Make the time consistent. It's either 3 seconds for a round or 10 seconds for a round or turn. Because it said something like, I remember I read back to section 2, it said, or you can run your full movement allowance times 3 for a turn, which is 10 seconds. So that means for 3 combat rounds, you'll be running, or like you'll run in 1 turn and then forego like 3 combat rounds, because that roughly equals 9, because it's at around 3.2 seconds, which if you round up would be about 10 seconds. So you're just running like for 1 turn or round and then foregoing like 2 extra rounds to get like major instant distance. I don't know how to interpret that. Keep the time consistent, because that's going to be really confusing for not only your players, but for a referee who will have to make a call for when they need to do that. I think net running is pretty simple and straightforward. It really is just goes down to like 2 dice rolls against 2 different creatures, and then the consequences are like extremely dire, which I really like. I think net running is not that bad. If anything, the interpretation of Friday Night Firefight for their specialty weapons might be the more challenging approach to refereeing this game. But other than the time consistencies, the questions on cyberware limitations, and the skills being redundant, I think this is a perfectly awesome system, and I'm very glad that I read through it. It's a very colorful world that like depicts itself very vibrantly. It's very vivid in its execution of delivering this neon futuristic, I guess neon retro futuristic world in today's terms. I mean, this is a perfect system even for playing like just a mundane like modern game. Just remove all the cybernetics and remove all the net running, and you have a perfectly good system for like exchanging like fire, weapons fire, small arms fire against you and other like gangs and other people. You could totally play this without all the cyberpunk elements. This is a This is a really cool system. I like it a lot. I don't know if they'll ever do another reprinting of this. I should probably look into that. Maybe there's an edition out there that has amended all of the mistakes, because there were a lot of spelling mistakes. There was a lot of sentence flow, not mistakes, but just dissatisfying sentence flow mistakes. There's a lot of incorrect grammar, I believe. It was a lot of trouble reading this. I had to do a lot of takes for certain sentences because they just did not flow well, and that's not like a game-breaking issue. That's just more of a preference for me. I'm probably going to compile these rules into their base elements that they need, so that way you don't have to refer to this book every time you want to know how something is supposed to work. There's a lot, like, I am not a fan of game manuals that combine their narratives and rules, like intertwine them, because that means you'll have to read the entire story over again just to know how to run something. There's a really good video that parodies that from, what's his name? Z Bashaw, where he says something like, it's an author who's tricked you into reading his microfiction, which is hilarious and true for a lot of indie RPGs. Cyberpunk kind of falls under that, but there is a really good system in here, so it's fine. But yeah, I'll have to compile the rules. I'll probably make a video that will teach new players how to actually make and play a Cyberpunk 2020 character. That's not going to be long and rambly. I try to find videos like that, and it's just people who just ramble on and on. Ironic, I know, but I read this verbatim, so now I'm gonna make an actual compiled video that won't waste your time. But there's people who just ramble on and on about style over substance, and it's all about attitude. But when it comes to actually rolling the numbers and playing the game, what the hell are you gonna do? You need to be prepared. So look out for that soon. I'm gonna make an example character who is a blank slate and then gets to choose all of his special powers and a life path, and demonstrate use with hopefully every single weapon I can think of, so that way if you had any questions, you would know what part of the video you could go to. I'm excited to start playing this, and I look forward to exploring more of Cyberpunk, actually. And this series is done. Cyberpunk 2020 has been read. So, until next time.